We usually talk about the GOAT conversation. That usually is Brady and Mahomes. That's what's been kind of the big thing in the last few years. So
Mm.
the new conversation that Michael Vick kind of prompted this past week was the GOAT conversation of head coaches.
Oh,
Not
okay.
Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, but similar because we got Bill Belichick against Andy Reid. So there you go. It's the
Okay.
the coaches of the goats, the other goat conversation. Um,
Right. Right.
so yeah, Michael Vick weighed in on the matter on Tyreek Hill's podcast. He was quoted as saying, "I was actually thinking this year, like after Andy won the Super Bowl, he only got two, but he went to like 4 or 5 NFC Championship games every year. Y'all was in the AFC Championship game. He might be the greatest coach of all time. You don't have to win championships to be considered. I understand Belichick and Brady and that whole dynamic, but Coach Reid did it in Philly, and then he's doing it in KC." The Fox Sports' Colin Cowherd also added to this, put some numbers behind it, but he also said, "If you told me Andy Reid would coach 6 more years, I think the Belichick Andy Reid debate is on. Belichick's head coaching career is tied to one player. Bill is 9 games under 500 without Tom Brady. Andy uniquely had to wait longer for his legend, but once he got him, he won before him, and he's winning at a pace now greater than anybody." So, JD, you got to play, or you had Andy Reid as your coach. So you got to spend more time with the guy than I have, or, Colin Cowherd has. But when you hear about this coaching debate and kind of as things continue to see, Belichick's path without Brady, Andy with Mahomes, Andy with McNabb, Andy with Jeff Garcia's of the world. I mean, we've gotten to see a little bit of Andy Reid with every kind of guy, right, over the years. And we've seen his success in the NFC and in the AFC. But what do you think about this coaching debate? Do you think there is a point to saying Andy Reid could be the GOAT?
Do I think there's a point to be made at it? Sure. I think it could be in a conversation. Um, just because of obviously what Andy has been doing in the past few years, obviously with the winning with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, he's been doing a stellar job. He really has, and I think that's kind of revamped his career as being back in the conversation as being one of the greatest coaches of all time. Uh, I think right now Belichick may have the upper hand, obviously because of the Super Bowls that he has won, and so everybody's looking at the winner, right? You can't dispute what Bill Belichick has done. So regardless if he's had Tom Brady or not, I mean, Andy Reid's had Patrick Mahomes, who's won two for him, or with him. Put it that way, not for him, but with him. Um, and so that's when you look at any type of offense and coaches and teams that become dynasties or win a lot of championships. Usually take somebody some continuity, and especially somebody that's throwing the football behind the helm to get these things done. Belichick has compiled, obviously a great defense around Tom Brady. Not taking anything away from Tom, because Tom has his greatness in himself, to be able to run the offense the way he ran it effectively. And I'm talking about just putting pieces in. He had different pieces, guys coming in, and it was, plug and play. It didn't matter who it was, plug and play. And it was winning. That defense, man, was an incredible defense with Belichick. So that encompasses a coach, is putting the team together and making a team successful, helping a team become successful. That's what a coach does. And so Andy, because of his record, what he did in Philadelphia for NFC championship games, go to the Super Bowl, loses that, come to Kansas City, loses one, wins two. So Andy's in the conversation, man. But look, I think this is the modern era. They talk about this is the modern era of coaching. There's some great coaches in the past that I think people keep forgetting about,
Yeah.
their records. So they're because they're the ones that are coaching right now. Uh, these two guys are definitely at the head of the conversation as GOATs of all time, especially the years that they coached. But man, there's been some, like I said, there's been some great coaches in the National Football League. And I don't want to take away from anybody else who's been able to do things in their career, right? So we've seen legacies of, San Fran, Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cowboys doing a few things. I mean, kind of back in the days, Lombardi. I mean, come on, but yeah, he's definitely in that conversation. And Andy's been, like I said, he's doing a tremendous job, man. He's been doing a tremendous job. He continues with his success. Then you got to sit there and say, well, look, Andy may be the greatest coach of all time. And so as long as he's winning, he's just winning Super Bowls, man, that's what you want to see. You want to see wins, and you want to see the winning percentage go up also too. So,
and I know many of the talking heads always talk about how the Chiefs are good for football, for the NFL. Because people like seeing offense, people like seeing high scoring, people like seeing the fun that we have, the snow globe stuff, all the stuff we always talk about, a tight end coming under center to be a QB sneak for a play. But I think the one thing that kind of stands out with Andy is the fact that, obviously he's winning now, right? He's winning Super Bowls now. He didn't win Super Bowls with Philly. I mean, he got the NFC Championship games. But I think what's cool is he's been able to adapt as the NFL has changed and evolved. But like early 2000s, I mean, NFL was still very hard hitting. It wasn't what it is now. I mean, you can see the huge distinction from the time you played to what goes on now. That's why people say it's softer now, right? But even so, during those physical eras, Andy was still getting with 4 NFC Championship games. He was getting Philly far with the offense. I mean, the unique offenses he had, they weren't winning it. But now, as the kind of NFL's evolves more towards the offensive side, and he's right there, been in the kind of thick of things. Now he's able to win, and it helps having Patrick Mahomes. But I think it's interesting to see how he has evolved as the NFL has evolved. He's winning now, whereas Belichick, as the game's evolved, when we talk about his defenses were great early 2000s when the Patriots dynasty really began. But then once Brady's gone, and then that defense, I mean, he's still the same defensive genius. That team's really doesn't look the same, I mean, I guess as the kind of the game's evolving to more offensive stuff, it seems like the defense, the defensive minded things, kind of the way of the past. I'm not saying defense is the way of the past, but it seems like that teams that are winning right now, the defense being the defensive minded coaches aren't winning the Super Bowls. It's the offensive minded guys. Look at McVay, Andy Reid, as far as more recently at least. Bruce Arians. I mean, these are all the last few years. It's all been offensive minded guys winning, and the defensive coaches aren't winning the big ones anymore.
Well, I think okay, there's a point there, but also too, you got to realize that the teams that have been winning do have great defenses. You have special guys. The Rams have special guys. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Leonard. You had to say the same thing out there with Tampa Bay. The defense. The defense was incredible. Playing against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, and so Todd Bowles was the one running that defense. Yeah. So you definitely defense has that role. They always talk about defense wins championships, and we know that was something back in the past, and it's still what's the name? It's still vital today. It's just, I think, with Andy, because of his brilliance and his creativity, it may overshadow our defense. What they do, our defense did a tremendous job out there on the field, holding their own, and that's what you just need. And you knew with the Chiefs, it's like, okay, look, just keep it within range, okay? Keep it where Patrick Mahomes and the guys can get out there and start torching the defense, that it doesn't get away from you. And that's what Spags and those guys did. They might have been bending, but they didn't break. They did not break. So those guys came up big. They played when they needed to play big. And Andy was like, okay, now let me go to work. Now let me get Patrick and those guys out there to work. And so I think because of his genius offensively, Andy's able to really exploit defenses in every aspect of the game. When I watch offense, I'm going to give up the same thing. I'm going to shout out my Brett Tyrbo. Look, this offense, when I start watching it, 2021 Kansas City Chiefs third down offense. I'm looking at these plays, man, and I love what he compiled and put together. I'm looking at these plays, and it's plays that we've ran before, but there's a creativity to it, right? Andy's like, okay, look, I'm the mad scientist, and I got somebody who's going to be my Igor and put it out here and do it the way I want it to do it, right? Maybe that's a bad analogy, but y'all get what I'm saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes, he's the magic man, and Andy Reid, he's the conductor. He's the conductor. So Patrick's Beethoven, if you will. But hey, we understand that defenses have a place. You do need a great defense. San Francisco, the Eagles, they all got to where they got to because of their defense. So you can never count that out. I mean, these guys, we're talking about right here from winning, from being that close to being winners in games. It's just we just had a better offense. We just have better guys on our side. Our Joes is better than they Joes. So yeah, man. Talking Head's going to have a lot to say. They are. But, when you start to go conversation, you start parsing through things, looking at the full record, taking it all in. Like I said, we can't discount Belichick's brilliance, but also, too, Andy's right there nipping at his heels. And Belichick will probably be done in the next few years. I don't know. He's 71 years old. Andy's probably got another 4 or 5. Hopefully he's got another 4 or 5 in him. Yeah, I know he loves winning Super Bowls, man. We're going to bring another one back this year. Keep running it back. Keep running it back. You keep your core guys here and healthy, keep running it back.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Andy Reid, as long as you have Patrick Mahomes, as long as you have Chris Jones, you stay as long as they want you, you stay. There's no reason to get out of there. And I remember during the Super Bowl, when everyone kept asking him, "Is this your last game?" He was getting really pissed off. You could, at the beginning when Bradshaw first brought it up to him, he kind of like chuckled. And then like as the night went on, where every person kept asking about it, he was like, "Okay, like I've been asked this question all night. I'm not going anywhere. I'm retiring."
Yeah. Hey, no, you kicking me out of the building? I ain't ready to go. Shoot, I just won this Joker. You want me to leave now? Shoot, I'm enjoying my wins. I'm enjoying my more wins. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep winning. How about that? So I'm gonna, solidify my name etched in one of the greatest coaches of all time, one of the greatest and brilliant creative minds offensively of all time. This is what I'm doing. I'm cementing my legacy. Mm-hmm. And so Andy ought to do that. Why not? Shoot, ain't nothing else to do except go fishing. Shoot, you want to use that mind, Andy. He loves being around the guys. The guys love being around him. Man, he's the guy to be with right now in the NFL. He really is. So, we got all these new guys coming up. Hey, man, Andy Reid is taking them. He's showing them how it's done. Showing them.
And also with Andy Reid, bring that up as he's the guy to be with. Another sect of this whole Belichick versus Andy Reid conversation is coaching tree. Look at the coaching tree. I mean, look at the guys who've come from Andy Reid's, some would argue it comes from the Mike Holmgren coaching tree, not the Andy Reid coaching tree. But I mean, look at all the guys who've come from Andy Reid's coaching tree, and then also now, and people want to say, it's Patrick Mahomes based, but like. Everyone, like Mike Kafka, he was our quarterbacks coach. He nipped an OC in New York. So many guys that they want to have a piece of what Andy Reid's got. Nagy became a head coach after 2 years as an OC with us. Doug Peterson became a head coach. I mean, just look, even just in the Chief days, just look at all these guys who've gotten jobs from this. I mean, not to mention when you were there in Philadelphia, all those guys became head coaches.
Yeah, John Harbaugh, Sean McDermott. Shoot. You can name them. Brad Childress. So we can go up and down the board. And Belichick had it. You look at his tree. They haven't been quite as successful on this side of it. But those guys are defensive guys. All the other guys, McDermott and Harbaugh. Those guys, brilliant guys in the right. They are. But yeah, man. I think you got a great point there. Got a great point. Yeah. Bearing fruit is what that is.
Yeah. You can set him up for success. They saw the winning ways of Andy and, all these guys, have gone on and become successful head coaches for the most part.
So the way the statement said, if Andy continues to win, he wins one more, the conversation has to be serious, right?
Yeah.
Colin Cowherd said, "Yeah, look, if he coaches for another 5 to 6 years, and he racks off about 3 or 4 of them in that 5 to 6 year period, absolutely has to be in that shoe without a doubt." It's not, at that moment, I think yes,
Yeah.
no doubt about it, right? Just no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, Belichick, because of his Super Bowl wins, that's what you got to look at. Everybody's going to look at that. So
Yes. 6 more years and he wins 3 more. So that's, yeah, the last 3 years. So 9 years. So 3 more to that with 5 and 9 years. Of course, the GOAT conversation or the GOAT. I mean, it's ridiculous.
yeah,
That's actually a ridiculous statement. Vic's saying that you could say he's the GOAT now. That's where, like, that's where you can have the kind of the debate
yeah,
about it.
right, yeah, okay, hey, like, hey, man, there's a lot of great coaches out there. I get it, and and the thing is, and Mike, man, he's got affinity for Andy,
Yeah.
right? Like you said, he brought him in Philadelphia when nobody else really wanted him. It
Mhm.
seemed like, and so Andy picked him up. He's like, man, come on, I want you up here. And so Vic, man, is paying homage to Andy Reid
Yeah.
as he should, as he should. So I'm not, necessarily disagree with Mike. I'm just like, hey, man, put a little bit more work. We know he's in there. We know he's there. We know he's right there in the same breath conversation. Can't leave him out. So
Yeah. And Mike Vick was also he was a summer intern, did the coaching internship thing a couple of years ago with the Chiefs too. So he's got a little bit of that with there's obviously a lot of love there between the two of them. But one thing that gets mentioned a lot with Belichick's that what he's looked like without Brady in the last few years, or what his teams have looked like without Tom Brady, making the whole distinction. Oh, was it Belichick or was it Brady? That's its own thing. But
yeah,
looking at Andy, something he gets credited for is the fact that whatever situation he's had for the most part in his career, he's been able to make do. I mean, just looking with the Chiefs situation, before Patrick Mahomes, you had Alex Smith, you had games where you had Matt Moore, Nick Foles, and then you have Patrick Mahomes, and then you have Chad Henne, who comes in and looks good for in the playoffs. But going to the Philly, Don McNabb, Mike Vick, you mentioned Kevin
yeah,
Kolb, who they made look fantastic. AJ Philly, and
yeah, yeah.
I believe it was the 2002 or 2003 season where Philly had to come in, and I believe he went like won 4 or 5 straight games, and they clinched the 1 seed in the NFC. So like
Oh yeah,
and Jeff Garcia, when everyone thought Jeff Garcia was done, he came to Philadelphia, won some big games for them. So like he's been able to do it with
Alex Smith.
a good plethora of quarterbacks. Some who
Mhm.
a lot of teams thought were done, but no, he made them. I don't know if he made them look good, but like the offenses that he provided around these guys, I mean, he
That's the genius of Andy Reid. That's the offensive mind. Belichick's the defensive guy,
yeah.
and so they just happen to be they go well together with Tom Brady. You know, he had a guy on the offensive side that could carry that weight for him. Josh Daniels and them guys did a good job kind of getting those guys in different positions. So I think that's what it was. But yeah, that's the genius of Andy. It's the genius of Andy, man. So
JD, everybody who knows and watches the show, listens to the show, knows you're a big time NFL enthusiast. Obviously, you played in the league, but you're a fan. You're a fan at heart. Who would you say? You mentioned some of the old school guys. Who would you have as far as somebody that you put up there with the as the GOAT? I know
oh,
we're talking about the recent guys, but like you said, the NFL goes way back. Who would be some guys you would want to throw up there as your personal GOAT?
uh, I think you had to look at guys like Joe Gibbs. You had to look at
Ooh,
Bill Walsh. You had to look at guys like obviously Vince Lombardi. Uh, Tom Landry had a great, you know, successful career. So we look at high coaches percentages. Um, who else was I? I was looking at somebody else earlier because me and Chad was having this conversation about this. Oh, Chuck Noll, right? I mean Chuck Noll, with Pittsburgh Steelers, and so Don Shula. I mean, so there's some really good names that's in the conversation. What's going on? Guys winning multiple championships. Uh, so that's that's the names I'm talking about, right? And these are names that a lot of young guys don't really know. They didn't really know anything about it. Well, they all it's a different era and stuff like. Well, shoot, everything is geared toward whatever era you're in. If you're dominating in it, heck, I told you even shoot John Madden. Nobody realized John Madden how much butt he was kicking.
Oh yeah.
When he was coach. So so all those winning percentages, all those different things matter. So there are great coaches out there, man. Great coaches out there, no doubt about it.
Yeah. The one thing with Madden, if I remember correctly, he had a high winning percentage, one of the highest winning percentages of all time, but
yes.
only one ring to speak for it, which is just interesting.
Yeah. And that's why it's so hard winning championships. That's a tough thing when I'm telling you, tough thing to obtain. That's the difference, and everybody's looking at the winner. That's what makes Belichick okay, because of the rings, right? Yep. That's the whole Jordan and LeBron talk in the conversation. Where's the rings? He got to go over here to win it with certain guys and stuff, so it's always going to be those conversations, right? They don't even, sometimes somebody brought up, Kobe Bryant's not in the conversation. Why y'all putting Kobe in there, right?
True.
Or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic, or any of those guys. So yeah, man, it's you just got to look at it for what it is: winning percentage, playoff wins, Super Bowls, all those things, changing, coaching tree, all of that, all of those things, come in consideration. And he's definitely in that at the top guys. He's in the top list of guys in those names, and he's swirling right in it. Right. One day you may pull one guy out, another guy comes out. This one right here. So
yeah.
Yeah.
In 30 years' time, there'll be probably two other names that we know that we're not even thinking about right now. Who will be people will be talking about potentially the next go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only thing is, for Belichick, it's going to be hard, like you said, for who he has right now. The team hadn't been looking good for the last few years, man. He's falling behind.
Yeah.
So this is Andy's time to go ahead and overtake that to be that guy. So.
Yeah, I mean that the whole thing they had last year. I mean, I think that's one thing too, because people were thinking about the current state of things, but like Belichick giving the offense to a defensive guy last year to run the offense. I mean, it's like what this is 2022. Like we're talking about how the game's evolved. I mean that you're maybe a defensive guy, Bill, but I mean, come on, it doesn't make any sense.
That's arrogance. That's why it didn't make any sense. They always thought they were smarter than everybody else, right? When you have that prestige and you won that many games, it's like, oh, well, we done figured it out. Well, this is gonna work. Well, y'all flailing now. Shoot, they look like ducks out there. So
yeah,
I don't know whether the Patriots used the musket or whatever they got, but they need to try something. So.
Yeah, what's the old Bill Belichick motto? Find a way. They need to find a way to play some offense this year.
Yeah, the Bills is up there running that division right now. It's some tough sledding in that division.
Tough division. Jets now, Dolphins, Bills. Yeah.
Yes.
That's gonna be a gauntlet. Remember, last year everyone was talking about the AFC West being the gauntlet. I think in the AFC you got that division's more of a gauntlet than ours. And what do you call it? The AFC North as well.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. So
yeah, so good luck to Bill and everybody in the AFC East. Hi everybody, thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.